Hi, Trainer Emily here. Welcome to Training Tip Tuesday. This week we continue our series on gear for dogs by taking a look at different types of harnesses that are available on the market today. Harnesses are one of the most diverse things that we've created for dogs because so many different types of harnesses are so specialized. For instance, guide dogs need a certain type of harness. Dogs who are pulling sleds or weight, like this one. This is a freight type harness. It's built much different than normal harnesses. For the most part, unless you're doing a sport or a specific activity with your dog, you're probably going to need a harness that falls into one of two categories. One would be an anti-pull harness if you're having trouble with your dog pulling on leash. And the other category would just be sort of your standard walking harness. Okay? The major differences between the two are the location of attachment usually and the action mechanism. So most regular harnesses, you clip the leash to the back of the dog. This is a nice soft one for like a little dog in case they have a throat problem. Collapsed trachea is sometimes common in small dogs. Other people prefer step-in style harnesses. This one clips behind the dog's back. But probably the most common one that you see for walking dogs is what we call a tracking style harness. These were originally developed for people who were training their dogs to track. The idea was the leash clipped to the back so that it would be out of the way of the dog as they're moving. The disadvantage of these is that while they're pretty readily available and they don't generally put pressure on the dog's throat, the disadvantage is it actually tends to encourage the dogs to pull. Because they feel pressure on certain parts of their body, they're more likely to push their weight into it, and you can have an even bigger pulling problem. These are great as long as your dog doesn't pull, or if you want to have that sort of attachment with your dog so that the leash is not in the way if they have a tendency to step on the leash a lot or get caught on the leash a lot, or you have a small dog. Most anti-pull harnesses, actually the leash clips to the front. So here's one style that we often use at the shelter. The leash actually clips to this ring in the front, and it works on a basis of leverage. So when the dog tries to pull, they end up getting turned around because it's not back here. They can't put their weight and force into the harness. This is another style, similar concept. You can clip to the front. But it also gathers in the back, and that's another option. We're starting to see more of those where it applies some sort of mild discomfort to the dog until they stop pulling. So that's one style, is that it tightens a little bit around the center until the dog stops pulling, and then it loosens. The other type that I have commonly seen for a while now is a type that has straps that goes under their arms. The idea is that it applies pressure to the dog's armpits until they stop pulling. In which case it releases. So harnesses, especially anti-pull harnesses, are generally meant to be used as an aid to walking. They're not meant to replace good training. Sometimes if people are physically limited, they're a good choice. But either way, make sure that when you pick a harness for your dog, it fits correctly, it's the right size and appropriate for your dog's weight range. And make sure it doesn't rub him. Some harnesses can make dogs sore, especially if they're pulling in them excessively or they have really sharp straps. Make sure that when you pick out a harness for your dog, you're picking out the right style of harness for your needs, and also a harness that fits your dog well and doesn't cause him discomfort. So, thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.